Hello class, good morning. Can you hear me loud and clear? Is my presentation visible to your end? Alright. Good morning class. Welcome to our English Grammar class. But before we proceed to our discussion, may I call on Miss Bulos to lead a short prayer? Thank you, Miss Bulos. So, how is everybody? How was your week? Was it stressful? How are you, Miss Pamadian? Well, you don't look stressed, Miss Pamatian. It seems like everything's alright. How about you, Miss Bulos? How was your week? Do you find the exams difficult? Okay, don't take it seriously, Miss Bulos, but it's good to know that you're all good class. Okay, so shall we start now? What I want you to do, class, is to take down important notes because I will be asking questions later and it will serve as your recitation. Is that clear? Okay. So can somebody recall what our previous topic was? Very good. You remember our discussion last time about modals. Can you recall what modal is? Yes, Miss Maon? That's correct. Can you give me some examples of modals? Good. But for today's class, you will learn the easiest way to talk about the future in English, and that is by using the word will. When we use the word will, we are, in fact, using the simple future tense. So what do we mean when we talk about the future? We talk about anything that happens after now. In English, we have many tenses and ways to talk about the future. Some of them are basic and some of them are more advanced. So now, let's start by looking at some basic ways to talk about the future in English. The three basic ways are by using the phrase going to, by using the present continuous, and by using will, which is our focus for today. In choosing what to use, first, we have to know if it is formal or informal. If it is for formal use, like academic, business, or even speaking and writing, we use will. For informal use, let us look at this diagram. Is the thing you're talking about planned or unplanned? Let's start with these three examples. I will get my school ID. I'm going to get my school ID. I'm getting my school ID. What can you notice in this sentence? In the sentences? That's correct. All of these sentences talks about the future. But the question is, how do we know when we will use will, going to, and the present continuous? Think about this example. You and your friends plan to surprise one of your friends for her birthday and you all need to contribute something. Then you would say, I will bring some juice. Others would say, I will bring sodas, I will bring beers, I will bring a cake, and so on. You can notice that you all use the word will. That is because you made the decision in the moment of speaking. Again, it is because you made the decision in the moment of speaking. You didn't have the intention to do the action before the conversation. And that's one of the ways you use will. We made the decision to make something in the future while we speak. Another example, imagine you're in a meeting with your boss and he says that he needs somebody to give a presentation for a big conference next month. And you say, okay, I will do it. As you can see, just like in our first example, you didn't have the intention to give the presentation before the meeting. You made the decision while speaking. But how do we use the phrase going to? Going back to our first example, the surprise birthday party for your friend. Let's say that later that day, you see your friend and ask you about the party. And you say, the party is going to be great. Chen is going to bring some food. As you can see, you did not use will. Instead, you used the phrase going to because the intention of doing the action was made before the conversation, not in the moment of speaking. Again, the intention of doing the action was made before the conversation, not in the moment of speaking. It is planned. Therefore, you can't use will. If that's the case, you need to use the phrase going to. But what is the present continuous? Well, the present continuous is mainly used for arrangements and, in most cases, specific time and date. For example, I have a volleyball game at 1 p.m. on Sunday. And then a friend asked me if I want to go at his party on Sunday afternoon. I said, I'm so sorry I can't come. I'm playing volleyball at 1 p.m. I used the present continuous playing to reject his invitation because it's an arrangement. It's a plan with specific time and date. Did you understand it, class? Okay, if you really understand our discussion, what do we use for formal communication? Correct. We use will for formal communication. But when do we use will for informal communication? You got that right. What is the difference between going to and the present continuous? Very good. Your answers are all correct. Now that we have identified when to use will, going to, and the present continuous, let's get started with our main focus for today's discussion. How to use will. Take a look at this. Look at how we form the positive future simple tense with will. The basic structure that you're going to follow for a positive sentence is subject plus will plus verb. In a positive sentence, you don't have to change the verb at all. For example, I will work, you will work, we will work, and so on. And that's it. Remember that you can also do the same thing with irregular verbs because the verb is not going to change since you will also use its space form. For example, the irregular verb go. You could say, I will go, you will go, we will go, and so on. Now, what happens if you make a negative sentence? It's just the same structure for the positive sentence, but you will add the word not. The structure is subject plus will plus not plus verb. For example, I will not work, he will not work, we will not work, and so on. To make a question, we just have to change the order of the structure. The structure is will plus subject plus verb. For example, will I work? Will you work? Will we work? And so on. Now, there are some other points to keep in mind. First point to keep in mind. When we are using future tense very often, we can use some expressions. For example, I think they will work tomorrow. I suppose they will work tomorrow. Miss Pamatian, can you give me some example? Very good. How about you, Miss De La Cruz? Okay, that's correct. Second point to keep in mind. We can use contraction for a negative sentence. A contraction for the phrase will not is won't. For example, instead of saying will not work, instead of saying I will not work, you can say I won't work. Mr. Santos, can you give me an example of a sentence with a contraction? Good. How about you, Miss Maon? That's also correct. A third and last point to keep in mind. We add question words at the beginning of a question. The structure is question word or phrase plus will plus subject plus verb. For example, when will he work? What time will he work? Can you try, Mr. De Mesa? Can you give me an example? Very good, Mr. De Mesa. How about you, Miss Divina? That's a good try, Miss Divina. Now let's learn how and when to use contractions with the future simple tense. But before that, take note that we do not use contractions or short forms when we are speaking or writing formally. For example, Mr. President will speak at the conference. The sentence is positive and formal, therefore, we will not use contractions. Another example, the manager will not complete the reports. The sentence is negative, but it's used for formal communication. Therefore, we will not use contractions. So when can we use contractions? We can use contractions when we are speaking or writing informally. Speaking or writing informally. For example, instead of saying, I will be on time, you can say, I'll be on time. We contracted the word I and will, which becomes the contracted form I'll. I'll be on time, you'll be on time, we'll be on time, and so on. We can apply this rule with the negative sentence. Instead of saying I will not, you can say I won't. Is that clear, class? Okay. If you really understand the discussion, let us practice what you have learned. We will make positive and negative sentences and questions. This is what you are going to answer. Just fill the blank with the correct form of the verb. I will give you 2 minutes, class, to write your answers on our chat box. Just type in your answers, and your timer starts now. Time is up, class. Are you done? Okay. Now let us fill the blanks to check your answers. Miss De La Cruz, can you answer number 1? Let's see if that's correct. The answer is, I will give you the recipe. That's correct. Who can answer number 2? Yes, Miss Panganiban? Let's see. You will pass the exam. Your answer is correct, Miss Panganiban. Who would like to answer number 3? Yes, Mr. Capistrano? Let's see. The bank will close at 5 o'clock. That's correct, Mr. Capistrano. Miss Aganan, can you answer number 4? Let's see if your answer is correct. The answer is, the store will not deliver on Sunday. That's correct also. Mr. Cruz, can you answer number 5? Let's see. He will not be home until 11 o'clock. Who can answer number 6? Yes, Miss Maon? Let's see. I will not have time for tomorrow. Yes, that's also correct, Miss Maon. Mr. Tan, can you answer number 7? Let's see. Will they make an announcement? That's correct, Mr. Tan. Miss Liwag, can you answer number 8? Let's see. Will she get a job? Very good. For number 9, Miss Santos. Let's see. Will you still love me tomorrow? You got it all correct, class. Now that we have practiced positive sentences, negative sentences, and questions, let's learn how to give short answers in the future simple tense. When somebody asks you a question, you don't have to repeat everything they have said. We can give them a short answer. Let's take a look at this example. The first question, will he be in Spain tomorrow, can be answered with yes, he will, no, he will not, or no, he won't. If your answer to the question is positive, we can take your answer to the question itself. But if it's negative, you are just going to add the word not. As you can notice here in our example, if the answer is positive, we cannot use contractions. Another example is the question, will the flight arrive on time? If you give a positive answer, like yes, it will, you cannot use contractions. But if you give a negative answer, no, it will not, it can be contracted as no, it won't. Let's look at the last example. Will you invite a lot of people? Yes, I will. Or no, I will not. No, I won't. Now you know how and when to use the future simple tense, all of which you have been learning during our discussion today. By now, you should be able to make positive sentences, negative sentences, and questions. Since our meeting is recorded, you can rewatch it as much as you like. Before I end our class, does anyone have questions regarding our day's discussion? None? If you have clarifications, feel free to contact me via Messenger or send me a message on my phone number. And let's call it a day, class. Thank you for your participation. See you next meeting. Goodbye.